Okay, so for the next video that we're going to do is going to be a basic, simple salad. Today is St. Patty's Day, so we decided we're going to go green with a twist. Like I said, I'm Bulgarian. We don't do green. You know who does green a lot? Is the cinematographer. Yes.
Hello.
This just happened.
Top of the morning.
By the way, this is how she looks on a Tuesday. Today just happens to be St. Patty's Day.
This is true.
So that is all good. So for the simple salad that we're going to do, of course, the most important thing in a salad is the same thing as the most important thing in a pasta. It's not the ingredients themselves, but the sauce. In this case, the dressing. This one makes, you can put any kind of ingredient in a bowl. If you don't have the right dressing, it's not going to work. So first of all, for the ingredients, tomatoes. I like the vine ripened tomatoes. You know, I'm one of those people, a lot of people like their tomatoes super, super firm, which is great for cutting, but it's not very good on flavor. I like these ones like, this is like, it's like a woman's breast. It's like the perfect breast. It's soft, yet firm, and when you put it in your mouth, it tastes good. But I digress. So, back to the tomatoes. So, we have tomatoes. I'm not even going to say anything. I'm just going to glaze it right over. But
wow.
This is an English hothouse cucumber. There's many, many different types of cucumbers.
Yeah, it is.
Nobody asked you. So we have, this is the English hothouse cucumber. There's a lot of different cucumbers at the store that you can get. They have different tastes. The regular cucumber has a lot of seeds. The English hothouse cucumber doesn't. And it has to be in the English hothouse. This one's a little bit more expensive. It's about $1.99 at the store. You can also substitute the little Persian cucumbers. But this one is the best tasting. It's very European style, and I like it. Hass avocado. A large Hass avocado. Again, this is not the cheapest one. There's cheaper avocados available. You can get 3 for 99 cents in some stores, but those are the little ones. It's a small avocado that has a huge pit inside, where most of the avocados are pit. So when you open it, all you have is just a tiny little bit of resin. That's the actual meat of the avocado. This avocado is $1.69, Standard Brothers, and it's well worth it. And again, just like a tomato, just like the other analogy that we made, it's a little bit soft, but it's a little bit firm. And when you put it in your mouth, it tastes good. A Bermuda onion. I love the Bermuda onion. One thing I forgot that I didn't put in the salad is the green onions. I always put green onions in the salad, but for tonight, I forgot it. We're going to go with the Bermuda. Don't use yellow onions in a salad. Yellow onions are fantastic, and I use them all the time for stews, for barbecues, for grilling, for that kind of stuff. For a salad, a yellow onion is kind of like, it's almost too strong. The Bermuda onion is perfect. One, because it gives you that really nice physical appearance of the food that makes it look delicious and that adds a little bit of color. But it's also flavorful without being overwhelmingly so. Say that 5 times.
You have
fast.
woman on the brain.
So, I have cucumbers and all kinds of stuff in my brain. Finally, what makes an ordinary kitchen extraordinary is a little twist, just like everything else. This is the Mezzetta roasted bell pepper strips. You can find this on the same aisle where you can find the anything that's pickled and jarred, the jarred olives, the cocktail onions, those kind of things. Look for this. The roasted bell peppers are a phenomenal addition to the salad. So these are the ingredients. Oh yeah, first things last. Cheese. In this case, I'm going to put the Gorgonzola. This is just something I added. 90% of the time, I use feta. But I've been using feta a lot lately. I'm going to throw it in for a little bit of loop. Just twist it out, just change it up a little bit. We're going to use the Gorgonzola. You can always use blue cheese or whatever else you want. But feta or Gorgonzola adds that extra kick. Was going to make an ordinary salad extraordinary. And now for the dressing. Okay, so now that I have my tomatoes cut up, tomatoes are pretty much self-explanatory, right? But I'm going to give you guys a little heads up on what will make this salad and this dressing extraordinary. It is a very simple ingredient, and the one that is the most overlooked in cuisine, and that's salt. This is a simple tomato and a cucumber. These are fairly bland vegetables. They don't necessarily have this, except for some very few sun-dried tomatoes and stuff like that. They don't have a lot of flavor. When you bite into a tomato and a cucumber, people don't go, "Oh my God, this tastes so good." It doesn't. Watch what happens when you add just a little bit of salt. Boom, boom. This little piece of tomato with just a little crystals of salt transforms it radically. So, we're going to use this for the dressing, which is going to come in just a minute. First, I want to show you how to cut the avocado. Or, let me rephrase that. I'm not going to show you how to cut an avocado. I'm going to show you how I cut it and what I use. I know that there's a million different other ways. 999,000 of them are probably better than mine. But I use this for a reason. There's a method to my madness in everything that I do. So first thing you want to do, obviously, is get the pit out.
We didn't need that.
If a smoother person would drop it right in here, but I'm an awkward guy, and sometimes that's as good as it gets, but it gets the avocado out. So how do we get the skin off? If the avocado, this is why you need to get a perfectly ripe avocado. You know, if it's too ripe, you can't do what I'm trying to do. If it's not ripe enough, you can't do that either. If it's not ripe enough, you might have to use a spoon to spoon it out. But the best thing to do is just peel it almost like an orange. Just, if it's ripe enough, it'll peel by itself. Look at that. Look how perfectly skinned this thing gets. And there's none of it is left on the skin itself. This one's maybe just almost not ripe enough. Almost, but it's good enough for what we're about to. There you go. And it comes out. Look at this. All the skin is off. All the avocado is still intact. Okay? So personally, I like to cut my avocados and look for salad avocados. Remember, we're making a salad. And a little bit thick, kind of like this. Until you get chunks that are probably about this consistent right here. Oh, I don't know what happened to this one.
Magic.
I don't know what happened. So, next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the cucumbers. The onion. Oh, yeah, the onion. The way I cut a Bermuda onion. Right down the middle. Super simple. You don't have to cut it super thin, but you don't want to make it super thick either. So just kind of like probably 1/16 of an inch is a good cut. Be careful, don't cut your fingers. Always use a large, sharp kitchen knife. So then what that's going to do is you're going to get these little long, beautiful chunks like this. Americans, or Western Europeans in general, well, no, Americans, they like to cut this into tiny little cubes. I don't like that. You know, this one gives you a beautiful visual when you put it inside the salad, and when you couple it with the tomato and the avocado, it makes a really good combination. This is so good you can eat it on its own. So, we have these things cut up. Next, the dressing. So, now it's time for the dressing. But before we put the dressing in, there's a few steps that we got to follow. The order in which we put the ingredients inside the salad is what's going to make something ordinary into something extraordinary. Many people make mistakes. They just, you know what? Let's just put it all in together. We're going to mix it all up, and it's going to be all copacetic. No, that's not how we do things. Because if I put these avocados in with these vegetables, mix them all in, by the time I'm done mixing, I'm going to end up with guacamole, which I don't want. I want a nice chunk of avocado that I can stick my fork in it with everything else and eat it, right? First thing we're going to do, the very first thing we're going to do is the tomatoes and the cucumbers. Why those? Those are the ones that require the most salt. So before I do anything else with my dressing, I'm going to add salt. These two vegetables require the most salt. An onion is an onion. I really don't have to salt it. It's going to taste the same. The avocado, I already mentioned why. These two puppies right over here. Let me just do this. First, we're going to dump the cucumbers. The next thing we're going to add, as I mentioned before, is the salt. Don't be afraid of the salt. It'll be absorbed. Too little will not make a difference. Too much will, but this should be good. Then, I want to mix this right now for the salt purposes only. Not assault purposes, salt purposes. Only that way, the ingredients that need the most salt, get the most salt. Okay, then I'll add my onions. I think I cut too much. You really don't need that much. I'm just going to use just a fraction of that.
I need that much.
I got a little bit excited.
I love onions.
All right. Did not know that about you. Actually, I did. So we're going to do this. So we have onions, vegetables, tomatoes, cucumbers. So what dressing am I going to use? How do you make the dressing? It's the same thing as the pasta sauce. I'm going to use the most basic ingredients of all, the extra virgin olive oil. Why do I use so much olive oil? Olive oil is one of the most perfect foods ever made. This has been a staple of human civilization for tens of thousands of years. The earliest psychological digs have found out that there's jars of olive oil. You know, there's a ship in the Black Sea that was uncovered that sunk 2,800 years before Christ that had jars of olive oil in it. This has been the most continuously traded food commodity in human history is olive oil. Why? Because it's good. It's good for you and it tastes good and it's very versatile and you can do so many things with it. That's our kids in the back, by the way. They're not disagreeing with me. They just like to go crazy. The one, again, an ancient combination. People have been eating this for thousands of years. Is olive oil and vinegar. In this case, I use balsamic vinegar from Trader Joe's.
Trader Giotto's.
Trader Joe's. This Trader Joe's brand. And but you don't have to use balsamic. Red wine vinegar works good. White wine vinegar looks good. This one gives it a really good visual and presentation when you serve the food. So, you don't need too much of that because olive oil gets distributed pretty good. And you really don't need too much of that either. Just a tiny little bit for color. This should be pretty much a little bit more. Oh yeah, first things last. The red peppers. These are incredible. These are already roasted red peppers. Look at this visual. This gives you a beautiful, beautiful color to this salad. And it tastes good on top of that. So now that we have our basic ingredients, we're going to mix this. So, follow me here for a little extraordinary, ordinary kitchen. The best thing about this dressing is something in Bulgaria we call topenica. Topenica means something that can be dipped in, some kind of dip. If you take a regular piece of white bread, look at this dressing right here. Look at this liquid. This is olive oil, vinegar, salt, as well as the flavors of all these vegetables. You dip this bread in this, look at that. Gold. Pure gold. I cannot describe to you what kind of flavor
Oh, wow.
this has. I cannot.
Wow.
I wish you could get a virtual taste of what this bread, olive oil, vinegar, and salt do. Finally, now I'm going to add my cheese, the Gorgonzola, Stir it up a wee bit. You really don't need to stir it up much. Like that. And then finally, we're going to add the avocados on top. And then, again, just a little bit of salt on top of the avocado. Look at the color of the salad. Look at this. Look at this presentation. Fresh ingredients. Fresh ingredients. Look how beautiful they are. And look how easy it was to make. This is literally like a 5 or a 6 minute meal. So let's just take a little piece of avocado, a little piece of cheese, and let's give it to Anna. Anna's a very picky eater. So let's see what happens.
It's phenomenal. And I do want the viewers to know a little interesting tidbit about Bulgarians, that they don't put lettuce in their salad typically.
Very rarely. But this is, just so you know, this is not a typical Bulgarian salad. We usually normally don't use we normally don't use the avocados or anything like that in a regular salad. But this is just ingredients that I found. I went to Stater Brothers. I said, hey, you know what? I want to get some cucumbers. Hey, you know what? I want to get some tomatoes with the onions. But you can use other ingredients here too. But this is super easy, super fresh, super quick. The salt and dipping the bread in the salt is what gives it the extraordinary factor. This is the whole purpose of this video, is try the bread with the salt, the olive oil, and the vinegar. You really don't need any kind of store-bought dressings. Ranches and all those things. These are made in a factory. These things are so-so. Use the oldest ingredients in the world. Olive oil, vinegar, and salt, and you're gonna have an extraordinary meal. Bon appetit. Mwah.
By the way, nice shirt.